Hi guys, hope you're well. Welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Your questions answered live. It's Des here, of course. Looking forward to getting stuck into this week's live episode. Whilst I've not been feeling fantastic, feeling a little bit better, feeling a little bit perkier. Not so much physically, but just mentally, I'm just feeling at ease with myself today. Really pleased to I've been out, done a little bit of a walk today, so that's picked me up a little bit. Anybody who's been watching this week knows that I've been ill all week, not been able to build on that positive park run I did at the weekend. Of course, that vlog went out last night. Please check that out if you can. Really enjoyed putting that together, looking back at the last thing I enjoyed before I got poorly. But like I say, feeling a little bit better with it at the moment, feeling on top of things. Having got out for a walk this evening, whilst I was doing some coaching with the guys, encouraging them, sort of passing on instruction, it's just sort of put me back in the right direction. Hopefully tomorrow that'll build again. But for now, I get to, finish off on the evenings of DOdaily before waking up to walk. And that's always kind of a turning point for me. I start looking forward to the weekend, enjoying what we've got planned. And this weekend's going to be a big one. Football again. God, you'll be like, oh God, football, whatever. But yes, another massive weekend, the East Midlands derby. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. Forest's first derby. It's the real big one in the season. So everything's kind of gearing towards that. All the plans I'm making are around it. I'll get out and get my park run in. So, like I say, it's just that time where I start to turn. If you've got any comments to make on tonight's episode, please drop them below. I'd love to sort of respond to those, interact. Please sort of let me know what you think to any of my responses to the questions. I'd love to hear that, and read a few out. If you're not watching live, drop them below or on any of the social media going across the bottom. Do check out the social media. It points you in the direction of the different content, the reasons why I do daily every day and what I'm trying to get from it and what I'm trying to where I'm trying to help others with it as well. And that's what's really important, isn't it? And when I'm feeling in the frame of mind where I'm starting to get on top of things again, got a little bit of a smile on my face, it just comes out a little bit easier. Whilst it's sometimes easier in a way when I'm not feeling great, because I want to express myself. I want to sort of show when things aren't perfect. Just everything's that little bit easier when we're on top of it, isn't it? So I just feel that little bit more comfortable, and it'll be great, like I say, to have that kind of interaction and to have people dropping comments. And of course, please like and subscribe. I'll keep encouraging that. Really pleased with the way that's going at the moment. Lots of people are supporting the videos where they can. And of course, that tally's building. 220, another couple yesterday. So really pleased with that. And like I say, check that video out from last night. That vlog of Hackney Marshes Park Run. I'm hoping they're starting to have the impact that I want from them, people to get inspired, to get involved, but also to set their own targets and goals. And it's something I discuss a lot. So if that's happening, that's absolutely great. Normally start with a throwback. There wasn't one last week. So we'll get straight into the questions. I have got a throwback question this week, and it's different to all of the questions. Normally it's something I drag out the questions of what people have posted in. But this week, something, whilst I was watching TV, really dawned on me, and it made me think that would be a perfect throwback question. So come back to that. All that will become clear. So there's a chance again to get involved with that. Of course, drop your comments. But what I will say, as I always do, thank you to everybody who's left a question. It's really helpful, because that's the point of the episode, and it gives me a chance just to pass on some thoughts, a different perspective. Somebody who does think about life a bit. I try not to take things too seriously. I'm sure everybody knows that. But I do I am a bit of a thinker. I like to think how's best and take on what others are saying and sort of pass on my info to, because we all need different people to listen to, you know. So if just one person gets something from it, that's brilliant, isn't it? A couple of, well, there's a kind of activity-based question, one around the current situation with COVID, and then a couple of more light-hearted, one including football. This weekend, I couldn't refuse to answer anything on that. This week, sorry, I couldn't refuse to answer anything on that, you know, because I am really, really excited. And again, that sort of nervous excitement's building as well. So I'll get to that a little bit later. Moving into question one, it comes from Kay. Is there an event you'd like to take part in this year that you haven't done yet? That's a really interesting one, because I tell you why I find that interesting first reading it is there used to be a time when I wasn't that keen on repeating events. You know, I always wanted to do something different. It's like going on a holiday, isn't it? You know, some people like to go back to the same place year on year on year on year. But I'm kind of like with events, you know, initially when I started out, I just wanted to do as many different ones as I can. But then, of course, you get your favourites, you know, you get the big ones that you just would never refuse. I'm talking about London, which I'm in for. I'm hoping to do the Great North Run because it's huge, you know. And depending on where I'm at, you know, one I've not really said to anybody. I wouldn't mind looking at Manchester, you know, as a bit of a training run. But that's just something. That's just a possibility at the moment, you know, something I could perhaps work to in the next couple of months and put me in good stead for the other two I mentioned there. When it comes to events, I'm really quite stuck, to be honest. You know, it's not something me and Kev spoke about in the background. An event I would like to do again is the Great 10K in Manchester. Really, really good event in Manchester City Centre. Runs out to Old Trafford and back along the other side of the dual carriageway. You're always kind of running against people, so it's really sort of uplifting in the fact you're inspired by what they're doing. The crowds are amazing because it's just over a short course, and you finish on Deansgate. Manchester's a fantastic city anyway. I admire so many different things about Manchester, and hence the reason I mentioned the marathon again as well. I'd really like to get back to that, but I'm trying to rack my brains. You know, I think what I would like to do is the big half. I think if you're looking at London and all the events there, I've done the London Marathon, I've done the London Landmarks, and the big half is one. Whilst I'm not sort of over fussed about the route, it's almost like the last one to tick off in London. You know, the last big event. You know, the one I haven't done, and I think that might be one to consider. You know, that's something I'd like to do, to almost do the London majors, if that's even a thing. So that's something, that's a possibility. The one I'd really love to do, and this is really easy, I don't think I'm going to get to do it this year. My real bucket lister now, I've mentioned this before on DOdaily, is the New York Marathon. I'd absolutely love to do that. That's my one real sort of burning desire with running to do, you know, and to get into a position this year, hopefully with big challenges set for the London Marathon and with Project Part 1 PB, to get really fit, to get to a point where I was kind of at my best. You know, I'd like to go into something like that in the next 2-3 years maybe, and think I can go and do that. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Who knows, Kay? Perhaps we could even do a honeymoon there. You know, just saying, just dropping one in. She normally tries to get me on this, so in that case, why don't we do that? Just a thought. She's probably upstairs now thinking, oh God, she's been on about weddings all week, so I'm just dropping one in there. But no, I'd love to do the New York Marathon. I quite fancy doing the Manchester 10K again this year. And to answer the question properly, the big half is the London event I've not done. You know, there's lots of different events. I'd like to try a few different ones. It's been a few years now where we've had a plan sort of set to us because of the COVID restrictions, and and then coming back and everything was kind of clumped together. And then we've had a traditional events we go to, the ones after the initial sort of doing all the different ones, we found the ones we really like. So it'd be great to get a few different ones in. Certain parts of the UK I've not run in. I've not done anything in Wales. I've always fancied something like Snowdon half. I know it's hard, but again, if I got to a point where I was really, really fit, I'd fancy that. What I would love to hear is your comments on what events you'd like to do. This is a brilliant one to respond to. It's not difficult. There's no wrong answers. So if you've got anything, please drop them in. Kay says, I think 1 marathon per honeymoon is plenty. Of course, after the wedding, we're doing London, but why can't we go away and do New York? Why can't we save it till then? Just saying again. And Dawn says, do a running trip to New York. However, I'm not bothered how I get there. Whether it's on my own, whether it's with the Do Running guys, I just want to do it. I love New York. I love what it's all about. I love the thought of doing a marathon there, running around the streets, finishing in Central Park. I actually went to New York a few years before I started running. I've only been there once. Went to Central Park and just was watching everybody running, thinking, what the hell were they doing? And now I look back and think, why wasn't I? But there you go. You live and learn, don't you? But yeah, there's a few thoughts there. But if you've got any comments, Kay, Dawn, anybody else, wherever you want to do your unique run this year, please drop it in the comments. I'd love to read a few of those out. That's a great one to start with. Moving on to question 2, I mentioned, and it's really sort of rife in the news, isn't it? What are your thoughts on the easing of lockdown restrictions? I'm glad I don't have to be too controversial when it comes to COVID this week. This was actually from Paul. Thanks for the question. Received this quite late, so it was nice to get it. My thoughts are, I just can't wait for it to happen. Forgetting about whatever anybody's doing, parties, leaders, this, that, and the other, Novak Djokovic, anybody else, put all that to one side. At some point in our lives, we need to get to a point where the situation is starting to make positive sort of strides of getting towards the end. And if the scientific advice says that we're getting there, that cases are coming down, that people aren't getting as ill as they were, which seems to be what's happening. I will listen to the advice. I do believe there's a virus. I'm not a naysayer. I've had my jabs. I've done what I need to do. At times, at other times, I've got a bit frustrated with it and perhaps not done what I'm supposed to do. But in the main, I've done exactly what I'm supposed to do. I've protected myself. I've protected those around me. So I think it's important. At some point, we have to realise, of course, what I found in COVID is it's been so divisive again, isn't it? Like Brexit before that, like referendums before that. And what we need to do is just realise that progress has to be made at some point. I know some people have got genuine concerns, but I think right back to the start of all this, and I was off work after an operation when COVID started, and I see now, watching it every day, watching the news, watching all the information, I seen how much it made me aware of it and made me wary of it, and worried. I heard the word underlying conditions, and having just had an operation, I was quite worried. And then I got a job and I had to go to work in the NHS. And then when I got to work, after a week or so, it was like life was normal, apart from the fact there were lots of people who I communicated with who were really, really worried because they were told to work at home. But everybody where I was working, just went about things and dealt with it. And I'm not looking for sort of praise for that. Most definitely not. I'm just saying it kind of changes your outlook a little bit. When I was constantly watching all the information, letting it sort of sink in. But ultimately, I had to move forward. I had no choice. That was my job. That was what I had to do, and I've dealt with it. And like I say, I've done the things I need to do since. We've over Christmas, we was allowed to do things. I saw people criticising those that chose to do things, Well, that's ridiculous, isn't it? The rules were there for us to work within or work without, because there were no real strict rules. There was still one or two things we had to adhere to, wear masks in public spaces and things like that. But the reality is, at some point, we all have to accept that we are getting on top of it. And I'm hoping this is the point where we're getting on top of it and we can stop using it. We stop using it as an excuse. Too many people use it as an excuse or pretend that they didn't do this or didn't do that. At the end of the day, let's just move on from it. If we're in a position, of course, it's going to be there. There's going to be restrictions. Certain people are going to have to deal with it differently. But I think then people have to accept that they have to deal with it differently rather than criticise each other. Once the criticism stops, once we get back to doing what we do, I think it'll quickly go away and people will feel a lot easier with it and dealing with it, and sort of just when or if it crops up again, we'll know how to deal with it a lot better. And that's my thoughts on that. Hopefully, despite the fact I started DOdaily and this kind of thing as a bit of reassurance through COVID, and I've tried not to talk about it too much. I've tried not to get deep into it because it's never going to be a good subject. Nobody wanted it in the first place, but I'm hoping I never have to talk about it again, and I can take DOdaily forward as well. I've done that in many ways through the vlogs on a Wednesday now and the wake up to walk and trying to be positive all the way through. So I'm just hoping there's a point when I never have to answer a question again. But I ask for your questions. It's absolutely brilliant. If you've got any next week, keep them coming. I'm not going to answer them. It's you drive the content, and I'd love to keep receiving them if that's what's on your mind. All I'm looking to do is reassure and give my opinion. There's a comment here. Kay, going back to question 1, says that there's no race in particular, but I want to do more 10K events this year. We've got to be doing that Manchester one, haven't we? I'm sure I can talk her into that. So, yeah, thanks for that input. Thanks for the question, Paul. And like I say, a few slightly different questions. I always say you can ask me absolutely anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be serious. People sometimes, when I say, have you got any questions, they're a little bit worried to ask because they think they might be saying the wrong thing. Believe me, sit this end of it and worry about saying the wrong thing. I'm here to be shot at in many ways. So there's never a wrong question. There's never a wrong answer. If you've got anything to sort of pop in, whether it's anything like we've had or what's your favourite snack that's not a chocolate or crisp. Well, to be honest, John, I'm trying not to eat those at the moment. I'm trying not to eat what my favourite snacks are as well, because snacks are a bit of a guilty pleasure, aren't they? And I'm really trying hard on my diet. Doing well. I'm not eating meat at the moment. Whilst it's not a snack, I know it's something I did last January and I'm trying to do this January. I'm doing all right with that. Not really missing it. So it's having an impact. And I feel it's helping with my weight. My weight's gone down again, despite the fact I've not done quite as much activity as I want to, particularly this week. But when it comes to snacks, my favourites are actually savouries, pasties, sausage rolls, the worst kind of snacks, Greggs, those kind of things. I have actually had a vegan sausage roll this month, which is interesting because there was probably a time I said I'd never touch one of those things. But they're my favourites. I love sausage rolls, but of course they're not great, are they? So it's just a case of going without them, and perhaps one day in the not too distant future when I feel like one, having one, but not relying on them as a snack, because I think what we can do sometimes is be a bit guilty of allowing ourselves a pudding, for example, after a tea. I try and stick sort of low-fat yogurts in the fridge to make sure if I do want something sweet, it does the trick. And that's just one of my ways of approaching my diet, is to have something there, because if I don't have anything there, I can be a little bit guilty of sort of ferreting about. Kay will be like, "What are you looking for?" And I'll be looking for the chocolate or the crisp or the sausage rolls. When the reality is, if I've got a yogurt and I've got my mind focused, they're much better, aren't they? I also have fruit pots and Yakult and things like that. They're not the same as chocolate, crisp and sausage rolls, are they? But it's about finding an alternative sometimes, isn't it? Compromise. And when you really, really do fancy it, you just have it. Personally, and I don't know if this is a thing, I'm kind of putting this one back out there. I'm going off chocolate. Is it a thing that happens as you get older? The older I get, I tend not to sort of enjoy it. I eat it because it's kind of one of those things, isn't it? Sometimes you eat too much, feel sick, like at Christmas. But it's one of those things where I'm not actually feeling it. But yeah, my favourite snack is a good old sausage roll. But I'm not eating them at the moment. So that's the answer to that. Let me know what your snacks are. I've got a couple of more comments coming in. Ian has said he's really looking forward to running his first London Marathon. But what event that you haven't done are you looking forward to? And Ian's going to say the London Marathon, his first London Marathon. So he's really, really looking forward to that. Can't blame him. It's the absolute, it's everything that you expect it to be. So make the most of it, mate. Put all that hard work in like you are. Keep it going and you'll absolutely smash it. Couple here on snacks. I thought this would be a popular one with the comments. Everybody's always thinking food, aren't they? My favourite snack, apart from crisp and chocolates, is pecan nuts. Whatever, Dawn. I'm just kidding. And Kay says crisp on my top, then biscuits. Again, there's so much to choose from, isn't there? It's just too easy sometimes, and it takes a bit of resistance, and that's the less I have to talk about it, guys. The better. So can we stop talking about snacks now? No more comments. No, seriously. If you need to comment on what snacks, please drop them in. And of course, any your thoughts on lockdown, or if there's an event you'd like to take part in, like Ian, really looking forward to it. I'm so glad I've got people around me for my second one. I did have on the first, and a lot of people came down to sort of watch me, which I really, really appreciated. So I'm sure we're going to have a crowd there again of runners. I know at least 6 people taking part, and that's going to bring a support crew too. So like Ian and Kay, I'm really, really looking forward to that. And finally, of course, I mentioned it right at the start. What do you think the Forest Derby score will be on Saturday? Can't get my mind away from this week. Whilst I am smiling, there's a bit of nervousness. Of course, there's a lot of news around Derby County and the fact that they're really struggling with bills and what punishment they're going to get, and are they going to go bust? And people are always asking me the question. I do a lot on YouTube channels talking about football, and people are asking, do I want them to go bust? And I don't particularly want them to, but I've not got much of an opinion on that either. They've not played within the rules, so they need to do what they need to do. What I wouldn't like is if they did go bust, the last ever Forest Derby result to go in their favour. I'd absolutely hate that. And I hate losing to them. That's all part of a big rivalry, a big local rivalry. So I'm really confident about Forest this season. It's not been the case for many, many seasons. I've been really sort of frustrated, and we've had to endure such a sort of mundane time with it all. But really, really positive when I talk on these YouTube channels. I'm adamant that we're going to do well. I go into every game thinking it's possible to win it. This one's no different. It's just the fact they've not beat us for such a long time. I think it's 1,500 and something days. There's a Twitter account telling you how many days it is since Derby beat Forest. And a friend says to me this week, and he's exactly right, the due one, and that's definitely what I don't need. Just getting back into the right spirits, starting to feel a bit better. I could do with a continuation from Millwall last week, where I really, really enjoyed the game, and then I got poorly. So I'm looking to sort of pick up from that, and really sort of take it on and enjoy the rest of the weekend after that, because I'm not going to enjoy it much before, as much as I am looking forward to it. I'm not going to enjoy it too much because I'm going to be too nervous. But I actually think it's a bit boring in the sense that it's a low scoring game, but I think it'll be 1-0 because these games are really, really tight, and a lot of the games we have won in the last few years have been by the single goal. We've nicked it. It might be a mistake, it might be a penalty, it might be an own goal. Don't care, just as long as we nick it. I just think Forest have got enough. They've got enough defensively, and we'll get the win, and it'll set me up for a cracking weekend. I'm actually having a drink on Saturday. I've allowed myself 3 drinking days in January, so it's going to be a bit of a downer if we don't win. So I'll be able to celebrate properly and really make the most of the day. If you've got any scores to add in, please drop them on. Dawn, a little bit more optimistic than me. She thinks it's going to be 4-1 to Forest. She read it here first. I'd absolutely take that. I'll be over the moon with that. I think I'll be talking with the same voice I've got now on Monday, if that's the case. So Kay says, I hope Graven doesn't leave it as late as he has been. We've been scoring late goals at Millwall last week. Whilst I am poorly, part of the reason my voice was rubbish earlier in the week was because of the way I celebrated the goal in the 92nd minute last week, which was, it's always the best time to score. There's nothing like it, and I don't want to bore people too much with being a football fan, and if they're not interested, but I'm trying to work off the positives here. And one of the best feelings as a football fan is a last-minute winner, when the other team hasn't got much of a chance to get it back. It's really it's the best feeling in the world, to be honest. But yeah, really looking forward to the game. If you've got anything to add, if you're not on at the moment and you're watching later on, please drop us your scores and let us know what you think. I'm really inspired by Forest at the moment as well, and the way they've kind of come back this season, and the way they're pushing up the table and giving it a real go, showing some spirit, showing some fight, showing that you can turn it around. And again, I'm always talking about the way I feel in the last few years. I've almost turned my thinking around from, I wasn't the most negative person. I was never particularly negative, but I wasn't the most positive either, and I felt sorry for myself at times, and I got myself into difficult situations. But now I try and be positive, and things just happen, and I enjoy them, and I make the most of it. And this week I kind of got myself into something else. I've got myself involved with a community group. I've become chair of a committee, and there's certain issues that certain people want to fight for and get involved with. And I was watching a program this week called Anne. I don't know if people have heard of it. It's about the Hillsborough disaster. Again, this is not really football related. It was a lady's tale of how she fought for justice. And it's something I've kind of always been skeptical of, knowing certain things about the day. But whatever I think about the situation, this lady's fight was incredible, and it really, really inspired me to kind of get involved with some of the things I have in terms of supporting the community and taking on a bit of responsibility there. The fight she showed, and the way she kind of reveled in it, and the way she took it to people in power and things like that, it just made me think you don't have to be aggressive or argumentative or nasty. You just need to do things properly, be determined and committed, And it really, really inspired me watching the programme. You know, like I said, I've been sceptical. I'm not a Liverpool fan at all. You know, but the programme's nothing to do with that in reality. But watching it kind of really inspired me. It was such a sad story as well, but it really kind of got me in many ways. So the one thing I wanted to ask this week, you know, and it's nothing related to that as such, but the fact, what one thing has inspired you? You know, it could be absolutely anything. I'm always talking about taking inspiration from absolutely wherever you can. You know, for me, it was this, but I take inspiration from watching the guys when I can't do it. I might go a bit inwardly upset that I can't do it myself, you know, because I'm ill or because I've been injured, and then I watch them and I take something from it, you know, and I allow myself to take something from it. Or I might sort of hear something on a podcast or watch what somebody does. You know, yesterday I presented an award to a lady for a race performance, you know. And again, it was something I was skeptical of, a virtual race, but the way she went about it, the way she really smashed the training for it, without even the medal and the T-shirt on the finish line. You know, I've spoke about big events today, and it really inspired me at the time. So it was the reason I sort of passed on that award. And it's just little things I'm looking for here, things that really sort of grab you at a certain time. You know, something every day, every week grabs us and really inspires us. If it doesn't, you know, there's something wrong somewhere, but something definitely gets us. And I just thought it'd be interesting to see if people have got a response to this. I know people find it difficult because, again, they're worried about saying the wrong thing. But I've mentioned a few things there, what really sort of grabbed me at times, you know. And I'm looking forward as well to watching Afterlife. It's been spoke about a lot. It's the Ricky Gervais Netflix I don't know what you call it actually. Is it a drama or is it a comedy drama? I'm not quite sure how you describe it, but it's. I watched the first couple of series and it's absolutely amazing television, and it's amazing what they've done. You know, on the back of that, they put sort of benches around the country for people to sit at and be kind. You know, and it just made me think how people get inspired by that, and I have been. You know, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to getting inspired by it again. But sometimes when it's close to them, they don't want to be inspired by it. They don't want to sort of get enthusiastic about it. You know, I try and be positive. I try and encourage people to do things. I try and help people. And I'm not looking for the praise, but it's almost like people get scared of it sometimes and wonder what your motivations are. You know, motivations aren't always bad. It's just about allowing yourself to enjoy those kind of feelings. And I love it when I get inspired by something. You know, I think, wow, that's learned me something. That's taught me something about a particular subject, about myself. Sorry, my voice is starting to go again, so I'm going to wrap up soon. But that's what I'm looking for. What has really, really inspired you this week? You know, I'd love to get some responses to that, because I'm sure if people really thought about it, there's a massive variation out there. You know, there's so much that people use day in, day out just to keep themselves going, just to sort of give them that spark, you know, when the chips are down, to really pick them up when they're getting a bit sort of tired with work or life. You know, it could be, for example, I try and use the running group as inspiration on a Wednesday. You know, I say, take that bit of time for yourself, you know, and it works for me again, you know, and I'm proud to say that. And a lot of people get really sort of shy and nervous. And I think the more we can sort of talk about what inspires us, the better we are, you know. So I think it's really, really important. And Kay didn't actually know I changed the throwback question midway through today. Kay actually writes this out for me, and she just said there, look, excellent throwback question. Appreciate that feedback. I just think it's such an important one, and with the fact that people are talking about Afterlife, you know, they are allowing themselves to be inspired, but that people tend to do it when it's at a distance. You know, be inspired by what's around you, who's around you. You know, there's certain people around me. I just think I'm so sort of proud of them every day. Kay herself you know, what she does, the way she's taken to her training and all her efforts, you know, it really, really inspires me, you know, and I want to get back to and achieve those things with her, you know, not against her. I don't want to compete with her. So it's all those things that you feel really, really inspired by. I really, really want to know. And that's Thursday Thoughts today, guys. I really appreciate all that sort of. Sorry, I've just get rid of that comment. I've lost my train of thought there. I really, really appreciate all your feedback. You know, the comments are great. Appreciate everybody who's watching, you know, looking in, and everybody that will look in. If you've got anything to add, please do drop it in the comments. And of course, if you don't want to put your name to it, that's absolutely fine. Just email des@dorunning.org.uk. I'll happily read things out with anonymity, because I know not everybody's as comfortable saying things as I possibly am. You know, I'm learning all the time. I'm not always comfortable, but I'm getting better at it. You know, and again, it's just about being really, really positive and trying to be that little bit sort of happier. You know, and if you're that little bit more honest and open with yourself, I can assure you that's something that comes with it. You know, when I was trying to keep not secrets on purpose, but when I was trying to sort of keep things bottled up, you know, but not purely because they didn't need to come out, I felt, you know, they did need to come out at some point, because it was at the point when they all come out, when everything came out in the wash, that things started getting better. When I admitted to myself first, and then to one or two others, that I had a bit of a problem, you know, that I wasn't happy, you know, I was struggling a little bit. It wasn't until then that things started changing, and that's all I'm trying to do, you know. And when you find those inspirations, when you can inspire yourself like that, you know, everything changes. So, like I say, if you don't want me to put a name to it, please email me or drop it on any of the comments on the social media that's been scrolling throughout the video, or comment on any of the videos throughout the week. That'll be absolutely brilliant, you know. And I'll be back tomorrow in the morning to wake up to walk, hopefully to inspire you to get out there in the fresh air early. It's tough at the moment. I'm finding the Friday mornings a little bit tough because I've got such a short window of daylight to film, which of course you need to see me. You probably don't need to see me. I could do it as a podcast, but that's not DOdaily, is it? You need to see me whilst I'm walking and where I'm at. That's part of the reason to do it. And I've got such a short window between actually getting up, getting the daylight in, filming, and getting to work. You know, I can't get as much in as I want to. I can't wait for the next couple of months when I can get a good 2-3 hours. That's what it's all about, Wake Up to Walk. It's about showing people where I'm at, talking about why it's important, why what I've spoke about in the week's important, why what's happening at the weekend is important, you know, and just sort of reflecting in that sense. So I'll be out and about, probably be a short one, you know, like I say, in that small window, but sort of saying all those things I've just said to try and round off the week in a really positive mindset. Like I say, it's building again. It's been a couple of indifferent weeks, you know, and whilst I've been okay this week, I've been ill, so that everybody feels a bit rubbish. Last week, it was more of a mental thing, you know, but I got on top of that by the end of last week. I'm looking to get on top of the illness and get back out there, getting in my activity, getting to that football match, and really getting on top of it for next week. So I'll be talking more about that. You know, thanks again for watching. Really, really appreciate all the support. Really appreciate those subscriptions. You know, give it a thumbs up, you know. And for now, just doing it.